Did you play Cold War Zombies? Most of you probably did, which isn't surprising. However, I'm willing to bet that you didn't play the mode very much, or at least compared to other titles such as Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 3 Zombies. Do you know why that is? Well, it seems to come down to not just one, but two major flaws found within the production and development of Cold War Zombies, which ultimately led to the title being underwhelming in the eyes of most fans. Call of Duty Cold War came out during a period where fans of the Zombies game mode were cautiously excited for a new Treyarch experience. Following the events of Black Ops 4, most fans were left unsatisfied but not quite driven away from Zombies. A large portion of BO4's failure has to do with the high expectations Black Ops 3 threw onto the franchise. But in a way, this almost set Cold War up perfectly. With far less expectations combined with the fact that most of the world was shut down, fans were ready to enjoy just about anything unless it was Vanguard Zombies. So just like that, Cold War sold very well, and its Zombies game mode was successful from the start. While its overall enjoyment changes from individual to individual, most people liked what the mode had to offer, myself included. It was a simplistic yet innovative approach to zombies that was nicely contrasted to the complicated format the previous title followed. Now, the innovation found within Cold War Zombies itself can be debated upon whether it benefited or contributed to the demise of the mode. However, that's relatively unimportant for this video. Now, what is very important is the insane content gap that took place from Firebase Z to Mauer der Toten. Now, in a pretty typical fashion of a Call of Duty game, the first DLC Zombies map is released around 3 months after the game comes out, and Firebase Z was no different from this rule, coming out a little under 3 months after Die Machine, which was the launch map of Cold War. Now, I will note that usually fans are given 2 maps on launch, like BO3 with Shadows of Evil and the Giant, or Black Ops 2 with Transit and Nuketown, or even 4 maps with Black Ops 4. But in this case, Zombies fans only had the 1 map to play for about 3 months, which for me personally only kept me coming back for about 3 weeks in total, if I'm being honest. Which, to be fair, I wasn't as big of a Zombies fan back then as I am now. However, the problem truly arises from February 5th to July 14th. Now, the relevance of these dates has to do with how many maps were released in this time frame. Now, take a guess about how many maps were released in this over 5-month period. Zero maps were released in this entire time. Okay, to be fair, that was kind of a lie. Firebase Z came out on February 4th and Mauer der Toten released on July 15th, but that is still an insane wait for one Zombies map. Now, the argument can be made that the Outbreak Zombies mode could be counted as a map, but despite its February 25th release, I personally don't count it because it doesn't fall under the round-based style we've grown to love. And keep Outbreak in mind because we'll continue to talk about it more in a minute. This long period of no Zombies content was not received well, especially taking into account that Firebase Z was just not a very good map. Thankfully, Mauer der Toten was a good experience, but I think pretty much everyone is in agreement that a 5-month wait was absurd. Most fans, including myself, completely stopped playing Cold War as a whole during this content drought, which is interesting because this drought greatly coincides with the next major issue that dismantled Cold War Zombies. The divided time between Outbreak and round-based zombies not only contributed to the content gap, but absolutely killed any momentum built by Treyarch. Real quick, if you're enjoying this video thus far, make sure to consider subscribing because I'm gonna make a lot more Zombies content in the future, and there's not many people who do nowadays, so deeply consider it. I believe it's fair to say that Outbreak was an attempt to bring Warzone fans into the Zombies fandom, and while I personally don't think that goal was very successful by any means, they somehow managed to alienate a lot of older fans in the process. Even before Outbreak was thrown into the picture, Treyarch developers had to create a campaign, a fully fledged multiplayer, an updated Warzone experience, and a Zombies game mode in a 2-year period, which they typically get 3 years to develop. Now, putting Outbreak into the mess, time obviously had to be pulled from somewhere else in order to create this new mode. And where else made more sense than round-based zombies? Multiplayer had been the staple of Call of Duty forever.
Are you what, drunk?
Your mama's cool. Your head don't.
And Warzone was huge at the time, while Zombies had just come off of its first truly controversial Treyarch installment with Black Ops 4. Overall, Treyarch kinda just bit off more that they can chew with Cold War Zombies. Much of that likely had to do with the rushed development of the game and the issues seen here with the large gap between map releases and the divided time between Outbreak and round-based, which were really just effects of a bad situation, and honestly, in the end, I blame Sledgehammer.